1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, that music might sound familiar to you because it is the theme song to Berkshire Hathaway Home Team Realty with Bob Kennedy, and that's what we're doing right now. It might sound familiar because Bob Kennedy was doing a show here a while ago. It's so nice to have him back to do it again. Kind of perfect timing, too, because I'm really getting close to the point in time where I'm going to... Because I own my home now, but it's a mobile home. And I really want a real home, you know? It's no offense to other mobile home owners, but, you know, we got a bad rap, those mobile owners. Good morning, Bob. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy New Year to everybody.
Thank you.
Really great to be back.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
You know, we were thinking about you and kind of wished we had you in the studio a couple of weeks ago when the Fed, or whatever you call it, changed the rates, the borrowing rates or the interest rates.
The Fed, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did that affect the real estate world at all?
So far, it hasn't had much of an effect on interest rates, and that's what everybody's concerned about.
Yeah.
Over time, you know, the rates are going to have to go up a little bit.
But isn't that ultimately a good thing for the economy or no?
Well,
It depends how high it goes?
I'm not an economist, so I mean, in real estate, everybody's for the last I don't know how many years now, people are just really, really used to these historically low rates.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you know, if somebody goes out and gets a mortgage at 5%, they think that they're paying usury, you know, and and the reality of it is. You know, anything under 7 or 8 is really still cheap money, but it's going to be a while before we even get there. I mean, we're still in the 4s.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to indicate it's going to go up very quickly.
And I mean, obviously, you'd be very familiar not just with real estate, but real estate here in Marion County. I mean, this is where you work. This must be your area of expertise. So if a real estate agent, for example, in Illinois were to call you to ask you what's it like in Marion County, I mean, you would be able to tell him, right?
Sure. You know, the market here is, you know, it's been getting better and better ever since we had the the crash.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty healthy market right now. I think if I call it a fair market. It's not a buyer's market. It's not a seller's market.
Okay,
but the prices are changing, and people have to understand that, you know, that's just the way it is.
Yeah,
we get calls all the time that, you know, people want that house for $70,000. And it's like you're a few years too late for that one, you know. The prices, the average price, I guess it was 3 years ago, was under $90,000. Now I think we're up around 110 or 112 as a
really?
median price.
Really?
So that's good. You're seeing less and less short sales, which means more people have equity in their homes, and you're seeing you're still going to see bank-owned stuff, the REOs, for a while. But that's number one. Foreclosure filings are going down, and secondly, the banks are drawing out the process to keep the inventory lean from that standpoint.
Are more people moving out of apartments and into homes?
A lot of the data says that people are still hesitant to buy. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of discussion, especially among the people in their 20s. Do they want to buy a home? Do they want to make the commitment? All that. And I don't know. I see a lot of my son's 29. He lives here in town. We've helped a lot of him and his friends buy homes, and we see a lot of that in our market. Maybe in some other markets, larger markets where people may be a little bit more mobile, maybe thinking that they're not going to have their job for a long period of time.
Right.
But for the most part, if you're going to be in an area for the next 5 to 7 years, owning a home makes a lot of sense.
Is there a reliable way to be alerted to a home becoming available? Like could I go someplace online, maybe with Berkshire Hathaway, and say, look, this is kind of this is what I can afford, and I'm not happy with anything I've seen right now, but could you send me an email when there's something available? Is there,
Sure.
Yeah?
There's several different things you can do. Your agent, if you have a good agent, you can get an email alert. So in other words, you have a certain criteria, and as soon as something gets listed, it'll get emailed directly to you. You can also, like for us, we have a mobile app, so you can put it on your
Really?
phone and just search the app every time, whenever you feel like it, for houses in the area.
But I'm guessing the personal connection, like I know you. So if I said to you, Bob, this is what I'm looking for, this is how much I've put away as a down payment, this is what I can afford. So you might just say, oh my gosh, this might be good for Larry. Just like the same way I got the car.
Sure.
The guy who sold me the car knew what I needed and who I was and
Yeah.
made a
Yeah.
recommendation.
Yeah, it's, the great thing about real estate today is that a lot of the information is public information. There's not a lot of secrets. You don't have, so as soon as something comes on the market, a lot of people know about it. But, you may be here at work, so you don't have time to do that.
Right,
You get off
right.
at work and, there's a message saying, oh my God, come look at this thing.
And who has time to drive around looking for signs on lawns?
People do it.
Really?
People do it. It's our business is kind of like a combination of high touch and high tech. You got to kind of embrace a little bit of everything.
Bobby, if you put the headphones on, you'll be able to hear your first caller of your new and improved Bob Kennedy show. Good morning. You're on the air with Bob.
Yes, good morning, Bob, and welcome back. You got a great program. I'm glad you're back on.
Thank you.
A question I got. Good friends of ours, they're up in the middle age, and the kids are gone, and they want to downsize. They're not in a big hurry to downsize to like a condo, but he kept saying, I don't want to put my house up for sale until a certain time of year, in particular in the wintertime when the snowbirds come back, because he feels he'd have a better chance. In your opinion, is there, like in Florida here, a certain time of the year that would be better to advertise your home than not?
Well, that's we get that kind of situation a lot. Thanks for the question. What happens is if you're in a adult community or an age restricted community, you're going to have more transactions go on between now and say the beginning of May, because that's when people are down here. People that come down for the winter, then may be looking to buy whatever. And not everybody goes into those communities. But this is a good time of year going into the spring. Historically, this has been probably the first 5-6 months is our best time of year in Marion County. The Villages also is the same way. And then, you get the summer, it gets quiet a little bit, and then, of course, you have your fall season. So if people are looking to sell their house now, would I look at them and say, well, how many houses are there for sale that are similar to yours? Because as the inventory shrinks, the prices are going to continue to go up.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
All right, thank you for the call.
Take care.
And let me mention also that the phone calls are invited during the course of this show, and in fact, most shows here in WOCA. So the number is 622-9622, and feel free to call whether your subject is changing the talking point that we're making or not. We want to make sure that Bob can answer your questions about buying or selling or listing your home. So let's talk about that for a second. Is listing something that we do on our own these days with our phones and everything, or do we still go through an agent?
The vast majority of people still are going to use a real estate agent. As more things come available online and the technology makes things more wide open, believe it or not, it makes things more technical, and there's a lot more things to go through. And honestly, for most people, and of course, some people are going to, I'm not saying everybody has to use a real estate agent, but most people are better off if they do.
I couldn't imagine knowing what to do.
But the change there was a big change in the closing procedures.
Oh, really?
Called TRID that went in effect in October. It has a big effect on lending and everything else. So there's a lot to navigate.
Yeah.
And marketing is huge today, huge. And you have to have a tremendous online presence in order to really get the full exposure of a home.
So we all know that we need to have some money up front to buy a house. Do we need money up front to sell a house?
No.
No. You can just
You want to, you want to make the house presentable. You want to have good curb appeal, but you're not, unless the house is really run down. If it's comfortable enough to live in, it'll be comfortable enough to sell.
Let's take a little break. You have a commercial announcement coming up, and then we'll be right back. If you have a question for Bob Kennedy, the number to call is 622-9622, and we'll be right back. Bob Kennedy, of course, from Berkshire Hathaway Home Team Realty.
At Ameris Bank, we understand that there is no purchase more exciting than the purchase of a new home. We are dedicated to helping you find the mortgage that meets your needs and giving you the personal attention you deserve. Our mortgage options offer a variety of benefits, including up to 100% financing, down payment assistance, and expansive credit qualifications, all with the competitive rates and exceptional service. Call Ameris Bank today or visit amerisbank.com to learn more. We look forward to serving you.
Ameris Bank is an equal housing lender and member of FDIC. All loans subject to credit approval.
Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion brings together business and community partners, economic development leaders, and educational providers to connect employers with qualified, skilled talent and job seekers with employment and career development opportunities. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of each month at 9:30 a.m. to Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion, and learn how they can help you.
Your weekends are getting a little retooled.
Swear to God, not making a joke.
Check this out.
New shows? Check. We are Force. Some new talent? Check. Let's welcome the guys.
Let's get it going.
Arnie Spanier.
Unbelievable.
TJ Reeves.
This is what you get.
Your weekends are on fire. Because that's how exotic it is. We are Force.
Hospice of Marion County has an urgent need for volunteers to share a conversation with someone, run errands, hold someone's hand. All you need is a willingness to help others. Our volunteers believe the blessings they receive far exceed the services they offer. Will you consider serving, caring, and making a difference? Call today, 873-7441. Hospice of Marion County, making more moments of life possible.
Hi, Matt Wilkerson here, your mobile Verizon rep. But not just here, I'll deliver the phone to you in your home. While I'm there, I'll only sell you what you need and I'll personalize it to you. Want to have me get you connected? Then call me at 352-528-0020. I even offer unlimited home phone service for just $20 per month. Just call me, your mobile Verizon rep, at 352-528-0020.
One of the most common questions those nearing retirement are asking, will I outlive my money? Retirement questions like these and many more will be answered every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement with hosts Francois and Julian Cozenet. Francois and Julian will help you put your retirement puzzle together. Catch Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement Saturdays at 9 a.m. on Ocala's News Talk, The Source 96.3 FM and 1370 AM.
All right, 12 minutes before 10 o'clock. Time flies when you have a good guest or a good host in this case. Bob Kennedy is our host. He is with Berkshire Hathaway Home Team Realty. And your questions are an important part of this show. If you're thinking about selling, buying, maybe reverse mortgages is something you want to ask about, and maybe homeowners insurance, that kind of thing. It's all part of the talking points.
Absolutely. And you know my philosophy. If I don't have an answer, I'll make it up.
So when you are, is there anything, you sent something new in October with closing?
Correct.
Could you explain that a little bit?
Well, it's really great for the consumer. A lot of people listening, if they bought a house in the last few years or even sold a house, they show up, they haven't seen their closing statement until they show up at the title company to close. So they're not sure of the monies that they're getting or how much, they haven't had a chance to review those things. Mm-hmm. Well, under these new federal guidelines, and it's all federal, so it's going to happen no matter where you go, everything has to be signed, sealed, and delivered 72 hours prior to closing.
Oh my.
And if something comes in that's not right, if the figures don't match between the lender and the title company, something has to be readjusted. It rolls over for another 3 days.
Oh, really?
So 72 hours ahead of time. So it takes a lot of pressure. It takes a lot of angst out of the transaction for the consumer. Title companies, banks, a lot more pressure on them because they got to get it right, and they got to get it right faster.
If if parents own a few homes and then they want to give one of the houses to the children so they can have a place to live, but they want it in the child's name, do they have to sell it at the market value, or can they just undercut it so much where they sell it for like $100?
They can do whatever they want. It's their property. And you'll see a lot of times in property appraiser, there'll be something could be a gift, or somebody inherits something and it'll say $100. And it just basically changing title from one party to another.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And now if I wish I had parents that would give me some stuff. We take real estate donations.
When you sell a house for $100, is that similar? Like, I can remember when I was a kid, my grandparents sold my mother a car for $1. Because had they gifted it, she would have had a gift tax. But for $1, they only had to pay like 4 cents sales tax or whatever it was.
Yeah, it's a little bit different because it's a form of ownership. It's basically a deed transfer.
Oh, okay.
So it's a little bit different.
So one of my favorite things when you were doing this last time was asking you to spotlight a house. And typically I would make the mistake of asking you way too late. So there was no time to really talk about any properties that you had listed. Can you give us a spotlight?
Sure. We have a really great house over in Devonshire. That is 449. It's 3-bedroom. No, I think that's a 4-bedroom. If I can pull it up, the internet's a little slow here today.
Is Devonshire
I think those guys talking about fiber beforehand just slowed down.
Yeah, right.
The whole
Where's Devonshire?
Devonshire is right off of 31st, over by Forest Park Estates. That road they put in a few years ago.
Okay.
That parallels.
I think that's where my son lives. Does he live in Devonshire?
Yeah, it's a very nice community.
Yeah,
Might be.
And we have a great home in Bellevue for $124. There's if you want to get out and have a little bit of land, we have a beautiful 4-bedroom, 3-bath out in Rolling Hills. First-time home buyers, we have things in the 80s and 90s still that are financeable. We're seeing a lot of move-up buyers coming into the market now that people have equity again. The first-time home buyers are able to sell.
Get a second one.
The people that own the home can now do the buy-up, and it's not a lot easier, but it's definitely easier to get a mortgage. And there's been some great programs that are out there helping people 5% down instead of 20% down in some programs. And you still have the government FHA and VA programs, which are awesome too.
When they do these programs and do the people that loan the money, do they have to verify the income and everything, or is there a separate entity that does all of that before it actually gets to the lender?
Well, those are all through the lender themselves. So if you're, for instance, going for an FHA loan, even though it's government-backed, which almost every loan is anyway, you're still just going through the bank. They just have certain guidelines they have to fall within in order for it to work.
If you have a question for Bob, just repeating the number is 622-9622. And what do you normally prefer, that they come in and sit across the desk from you or call you on the phone, or?
Either or.
I guess the phone call will be the first step, right?
Usually we set up with a phone call. I had a gentleman call the other day, and he wanted to come in and talk about what he had to sell.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people do it over the phone. Of course, you have so many people coming in from out of the area. You'll do a lot of work via email and over the phone until they get to town, and then you'll sit down and kind of. You want to kind of get to know people and kind of see where everybody's coming from, make sure you're on the same page before you hit the road.
We heard the other day that an RV is actually a home and therefore qualifies for a mortgage. So you could buy a vehicle, technically, I mean,
Yes.
an RV is a vehicle, that you get a 30-year loan on. I can't imagine that.
Well, yeah, and you get and I think one of the great selling points to that is that you get to deduct that as mortgage interest.
Isn't that interesting? Wow, even though you're driving it.
Yeah, it's yeah, if you like it.
So if you have an RV, let's say, and then you go to buy a home, is it a point against you? Do the lenders say, well, you already have a home, so... Well, or does that not qualify as a home?
Regardless, I think it would qualify, and I'm not a mortgage expert, so don't go too crazy out there if I'm wrong. But when you go to get a mortgage on a home, the lenders are going to look at debt to equity ratio. So anything you're making payments on falls into that, whether it's on an RV, a car, spousal support, whatever it might be.
I think the last time you were here, the debt to equity question came up, and I feel like you said that the last thing you want to do just before going to get a mortgage is to buy a car because it looks bad on your credit, right?
Well, you don't want to make an unexpected purchase, and that's because I tell people all the time, and if you know people in the business, they'll tell you the same thing. You're going to go into your closing, and that day of closing, the lender will be calling your place of employment to make sure you still have a job, and they will be pulling your credit, almost guaranteed.
So do you have people who come in around this time of year because they have an income tax refund?
And
they decide this is going to be my down payment?
Sure, because if you're buying, let's say you're going to buy a house for $100,000, $3,500 is 3.5% down, right?
And is that enough?
Well, if you go in FHA, it is, and if you're going to 5%, really? $5,000 is. You still have to have closing costs.
I didn't know,
but yeah. So
I was always under the impression it was like 10 or 20%.
No, obviously, you're more credit worthy at 20% down to a lender because there's equity involved. But these programs are set up to help people. They're not first-time home buyer programs, but they're usually utilized by first-time home buyers. You can get in with 3.5%, 5%. We have USDA and VA loans, which are 0% down.
Wow.
Qualifications.
And that really helps. That way people can do it on their own and not have to have a co-signer with them. They can feel
it's really hard to get a co-signer. And I would tell you that most people will tell you don't co-sign a mortgage for somebody.
That'd be scary, wouldn't it?
Whether it's your kid or anything else. I mean, it's rough enough if you're co-signing a car loan or you end up on Judge Judy or something.
And you'd be happy to be because then they pay they pay everything, don't they? Well, Bob, it's good to have you back. It was always fun in the past, and I'm looking forward to doing this again. So you'll be here every Friday?
Every Friday.
Okay.
Actually, I think 3 times a month.
3 times a month?
Yeah.
Taking a day off or something every month?
I'm old. I can't work all the time.
So let's give out your contact information. And you have a website, right?
Yep. It's BHHSHometeam.com.
Okay, BHHSHometeam.com, and that's Berkshire Hathaway Home Team.
Services, HomeTeamRealty.com.
Home Services, okay.
And also the same BHHS Home Team Realty. You can find us on Facebook. Lots of great information there. Always updates on our agents, great listings, great customers. We try and keep it real interactive. We have a lot of fun with it.
And we can see the houses and the properties that you described earlier?
You'll see some of them. We put some up there, but the best way to see them is go to the website. You can do a search. You can give us a call. We'll give you the downloadable app. It's free. You can search to your heart's content while you're on your commercial breaks.
And today's a good day to go because that way you can see if the roof leaks.
On your commercial breaks.
Absolutely.
I caught that on your commercial breaks. Well, that's what I'll be doing on my commercial breaks. Thank you, Bob. That was fun.
Enjoyed it. Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.